Hello everyone, and welcome back to Great Books Fine Wine. My name's Kyle, and today we're going to be taking a look at the champagne that I was drinking in my review or overview of Monday's video on The Cousins by Karen McManus. If you've already seen that video, you'll note that I was drinking the champagne, but today we're going to be focusing strictly on the champagne because this channel is about great books and fine wine, including sparkling wine. So today we're going to be taking a look at Gerin Champagne. It's a Grande Reserve. Just a little bit about this champagne before we get into it. The grapes that they used to make champagne, or at least this champagne, was Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Pinot Meunier. In fact, on the back it says that 50% is Pinot Meunier, 30% is Pinot Noir, and then 20% Chardonnay. It also has a suggested serving temperature, which is 44 degrees Fahrenheit or 8 degrees Celsius. Most sparkling wines, general rule of thumb is you want to serve between 40 and 50 degrees Fahrenheit. I think that's like 6 to 10 degrees Celsius. I'm not sure. You have to double check me on that. So that's what's in the bottle. Now this is a sparkling wine, so it's champagne, and all champagne comes from, real champagne comes from France, in the region of Champagne. A lot of times we see bottles of sparkling wine and people are like, oh, I brought this champagne, but it's not really champagne at all. It's just a different variety of a sparkling wine. So this is a real champagne. Sparkling because they do put CO2 in it, which is why you have to be careful when you open the cork, and why a lot of times in movies and videos and TV shows you see the celebration, the cork popping off and things. So you do have to be careful. Alcohol is 12% ABV, and this bottle retails for right at about $40 US dollars. Champagne is and can be rather expensive. If you're ever at a party and someone actually has champagne, don't hesitate, if it's appropriate and you're not driving, things like that, to take some, because they probably spent quite a bit of money. Champagne averages, good champagne, between 40, 50 bucks all the way to $150, if not more. So champagne is a rarity, but since it's the beginning of the new year, happy 2021, we figured we'd kick off with some champagne, since that seems to be typical. Not to mention that the book, The Cousins, discusses a lot of champagne and kind of just get you in the mood to have a little bubbly. So you're aware, in case you don't know, you don't decant champagne, so don't, because you want to keep the bubbles. You paid for the bubbles, so enjoy them. Don't decant it, which means pour them in a container to let it air out, because you'll lose all your bubbly. I don't cellar champagne because I don't have the money to cellar champagne, really, to be honest. But you can cellar champagne, typically, 5 to 15 years, depending on the quality of the champagne. And then kind of a cool fact is that 90%, roughly 90% of the champagne made is made in the brut style, which will mean that each glass will have less than half a gram of sugar per glass. The way we do tastings, in case you didn't see the first video, is I kind of focus on the 4 S's. We're going to sight or see. We're going to go through the smell or the scent. We're going to sip, and then we will summarize. So the 4 S's: sight, smell, sip, summarize. All right, with that being said, let's go ahead and pop this bubbly. Now, just a couple things real quick before we go on. I would suggest that you drink champagne in a champagne flute. It's a little bit slimmer and taller, or sometimes they're really long and slim from the base up, using the stem as part of the glass. I am going to taste this in a white wine glass, though, because the opening of this allows me to get a better aromas, allows them to open up a little bit and flourish, whereas the thinness of the champagne flute doesn't really allow for those aromas to open up like they need to. Something else, when you're opening champagne, you need to be careful because there is a lot of pressure. The colder the champagne or the sparkling wine, the better. It will help with that pressure. Warm champagne is that you're asking for disaster. So you always want to put your hand on the top of it as you open it, the cage here. You'll note that there is a little, on the cage, it sticks out on the end here. You really just want to twist this counterclockwise 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it should be open. Open the cage just a bit. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the champagne in my hand. And I'm not going to try to get that big old poop pop cork sound. I just want to lightly get that cork out of the champagne bottle. In order to do so, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to begin to twist the champagne in my hand. And there you heard it. Psst. Let's pour us a small little glass. I can already smell the champagne coming out of the glass, the aromas in the bouquet. You can see there that it does have some bubbles moving right along like it should. I always like to look at wine using a white sheet of paper. You can put it down in front of you. If you're at a restaurant and you're trying to just kind of evaluate the wine a little bit, you can use your napkin, which typically are white, or the placemat or the place setting, or even just the tablecloth or the table runner if it is white. But you want to try to use a white background if possible. It has a pale yellow tinge around the edges, but as it moves toward the rim of the glass, it is clear. It is a clear wine. Very nice, very, very nice. All right, let's give it just a little spin. All right, so we did our sight, looking at it. It's a pale yellow. Now we're going to work on the smell or the scent. I'm getting a very fresh smell from the wine. It's kind of sweet on the nose. A little bit of citrusy character to it. And almost like a fresh, crisp, like a brand new cut apple. Maybe even a little honey. All right. So, sight, smell, let's take a sip. Cheers. Oh, that's good. A lot of times you're encouraged to, if you're tasting a lot of wines or doing a wine tasting, to have a spit bucket or something that you can spit wine into, because the point is not to get drunk. The point is to taste the wines and what the wine is offering. However, because champagne is a special thing, if you don't have to spit the champagne, don't spit the champagne. Immediately, my palate. This is high acid. It has high acidity. The wine. The wine is dry. The wine has some nice bubbles to it. They're not long lasting. They actually fizz or die pretty quickly. But the tastes that I'm getting are very sweet. I'm getting a lot of like lemon and apple notes. Yeah, lots of citrus, lemon flavors in the wine. The wine is crisp. It's clean feeling. No bad aftertaste. And although it's 12%, the alcohol is not overpowering at all. It's really nicely balanced with the taste. Now that I go back to the nose after I've tasted the wine. The sweetness that I was getting earlier is not as prominent. Yeah, lemon. Lemon is the first thing forward on this, and apple. Like a green, crisp, fresh apple. Like you just bit into a freshly sliced apple. That's very good. All right, so we have looked at the wine, C. We have sniffed the wine. and we have sipped the wine or tasted the wine. So let's summarize. For $40 champagne, for a $40 champagne, this is pretty good. This is not bad. It's not the best champagne I've ever had by far, but it's not terrible either by a long stretch. This is what I would call a budget champagne. I would not be embarrassed to take this to a dinner party. And although champagne typically is associated with like the appetizers prior to the meal, this would probably fall in that category. There are some champagnes that could carry you through the entire meal and support the food that you are having or the main entree. This is not one of those wines, so I would stick with this as the before meal wine. It would pair well with fried foods of any sort or appetizer foods. Little finger foods would be good. So that's where I would put the Gerin Champagne Grande Reserve as a appetizer style pre-dinner wine. All right, thanks again for tuning in to Great Books Fine Wine. My name is Kyle. If you've liked this video or you like what you're seeing on this channel, please hit the subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and don't be scared or timid to share. And if you're drinking, please drink responsibly. I hope you have a wonderful 2021, and until next time, we'll see you on down the road. Don't forget to slow down, simplify, read good books, enjoy the fine fruits.